Hey, everybody, we're so excited to have you here today. We're going to be talking about why Google Analytics 4. I'm joined by two other gentlemen. Wylie, would you like to say hello and introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Wylie. Nice to meet you.
Wylie is our Director of Business Development on the Analyst team and has been with the company for a while, a true expert in analytics. Mezar, would you like to say hi?
Sure. Hey, everyone. Mezar here, Director of Analytics and Technology.
Awesome. And then John Lincoln, CEO here at Ignite Visibility. Today, everybody, we are talking all things Google Analytics 4. We're very excited about the presentation. And Mezar, as far as Google Analytics 4 goes, why is this important right now?
Well, I mean, it's important because Google's kind of forcing us to get on there, first of all. And it's just a better platform. It's built from the ground up to be event-based rather than page load based, so it's a lot more reliable. And there's a whole list of new features that are in GA4.
Every analytics property will have to go over there. And this is a new system that is more sophisticated, that's going to set us up well for the future of digital marketing, which is why we are talking about it here today. So to get started, consumer expectations are actually driving this technology change. And we are living in a new world of measurement. Rising user expectations on privacy are impacting the way the ecosystem measures conversions. Cookies are going to become more scarce over time due to platform changes. We all saw cookies are going away. We are going to rely on the confluence of solutions such as first party data and modeling, first party data, first party data, first party data. So these are big changes that are happening. Wylie, how do you feel about consumer expectations and technology change?
I think that you'd have to be living under a rock for the past couple of years not to understand why this is important. I think the important thing to keep in mind here is that we're looking for these platforms to give us a solution. And Google's doing that with Google Analytics 4.0.
Mezar?
I agree. We're definitely going to see a shift in the coming year or years. There has been a decline in cookie reliability. There's going to be even more of a decline in cookie reliability in the future. Everything's moving event-based, and there's going to be a huge shift for offline data and utilizing APIs to track rather than just scripts on a page.
First party data, user privacy, regulations, it's all here. And Google Analytics 4 helps us for the first time do this in a way that's going to be acceptable for the future. So let's talk about the importance of first party data. Mezar and I are going to be giving you our thoughts on this. And I'm going to start. I feel it always should have been first party data. I feel that first party data is the future of digital marketing. And these companies with large databases who are older companies have a huge advantage because of this legacy first party data that they have. However, many of them have not organized it correctly. Now, on the other side, newer companies don't have first party data. So they have the challenge that they have to generate this first party data. But one thing is for sure, whether new or old, first party data is what you need for email, for paid media. Mezar, talk to us a little bit about how you're looking at first party data.
Third-party data or non-first party data is definitely useful to increase your targeting or enhance your targeting, enhance your business intelligence, things like that. But with the move to first-party data and the more reliant we are on first-party data, it does open up a lot of opportunity, especially with ad targeting, paid media targeting. Rather than targeting on third-party data, you'll be able to target on first-party data like CRM data, which will actually make your advertising more effective.
So one of the good things about first party data, it enables you to get that holistic view of the user so that you can really give them the full experience that you want them to have. That's why platforms like Segment are becoming so important, is because you can have that customized delivery web experience. And that's why just in general, it's important that you're organizing this in a way that will allow you to tailor a custom experience to the user. So first party data for sure. Third party data, still very, very important. And we're going to be talking about that a little bit more as well. So now we're talking about adapting to market shifts. So there's shifting user behavior, and consumer behavior has shifted significantly since the introduction of universal analytics. There's more channels and more devices and different touch points than ever before. And your needs have changed. Marketers, you are asking different questions and need more customization and automation options. So they want to be learning from past behaviors to improve future outcomes. So when we're thinking about market shifts, Wylie, does anything come to mind to you there?
Consumer expectations around privacy and around data collection, and as well as legal and regulatory concerns as well that are affecting the industry because of that backlash from consumers. I mean, politicians are paying attention to that kind of stuff. So as consumers are demanding more and more privacy centric and less data collection, these platforms are adapting to the demands of consumers. Google Analytics 4.0 is, for example, they're no longer collecting cookies. They're no longer saving IP address data. They've built privacy into the solution in order to basically appease regulators and appease consumer demand.
Mezar, talk to us a little bit about, I mean, what goes through your head with the shifting market from a consumer and a marketer perspective?
The market is definitely shifting across all industries. If you think about user behavior, especially, users are more cross-channel, omni-channel. People are using multiple channels to interact with a brand, multiple devices to interact with a brand. Users are seeing your ads on multiple ad networks, interacting with your brand. So it's definitely becoming, I think marketers for sure need to keep up with the shifts. It's definitely going to become more challenging for marketers to attribute a sale back to the campaigns that generated that sale across all these different channels. So that's another good thing about Google Analytics 4 is that it is more cross-channel friendly. It's easier to plug in several data sets, and it's easier to measure this user behavior across all these channels.
And knowing that there's this big change in marketer demand and our clients are asking you to track everything everywhere and give them the correct attribution, is Google Analytics 4 going to help us do that and help you do that?
Google Analytics 4 definitely helps with tracking all that stuff across all these channels. Just because of its very nature, being built event-based from the ground up rather than page load based is a huge help to data engineers that are trying to set up all this tracking. Page load based, the traditional universal analytics, the tracker object would fire when a page loads, which is basically why everyone just copies and pastes the code snippet and puts it on the page. The problem with that is when Google Analytics is trying to measure like a session, they're like, okay, what is a session? What if a session starts at 11:45 p.m. and then goes into the next day? That actually breaks into two sessions in the reporting, so it's not very accurate. Whereas event-based is just like, it's just like an event. There was a page load that happened, there was a page call that happened, and so Google's able to take all these different signals because they're just like separate signals rather than just a page load. And we're able to do a lot more with it. We're able to do a lot more data science with it. We're able to, calculate a more accurate session with it. A lot of things are changing, but it's going to be more accurate.
So now we're introducing Google Analytics 4. Here's a couple things we need to think about. A unified user journey. See unified user journeying across your website and apps. How exciting is that? Machine learning. We finally have built-in machine learning at the core of the system. And future-proof. GA4 is going to provide privacy-safe consumer insights with or without cookies. So these three pillars are really exciting. Wylie, when you think about these pillars, what gets you the most excited?
Oh, it's got to be the machine learning. There are some really, really spectacular features that they've baked into this version of analytics. Like, for example, the predictive audiences that it makes my mouth water when I think about this stuff. The machine learning is amazing. The machine learning that's baked into Google Analytics 4.0, the machine learning can actually create audiences for you based on key criteria. So, for example, the machine learning can create an audience of users who are likely to churn in the next few weeks, or an audience of users who are likely to convert in the next few weeks. You can create an audience of users who are more likely to purchase your product. And what you can actually do with these audiences and this ability to kind of create these incredible audience segments is this enables your marketers to build like a sophisticated marketing funnel where you can target your users, and then based on the event trigger that they trigger, then you can segment them further into additional audiences and build out event triggers as you remarket to those audiences. And you end up with this like sophisticated funnel that kind of looks like a tree where there's multiple branches that all lead to a conversion. And by building these like amazing sophisticated funnels, you can, cut your CPA down, you can improve results, increase ROI. It's going to be amazing.
I also love the machine learning aspect of this thing, but I think most marketers would really appreciate the unified user journey because it's a lot better than universal analytics. With universal analytics, you couldn't create like funnel steps unless you were building page load funnel steps. Well, what if there were events in there? With the new GA4, you can create a customized funnel based off of any event. You know, a page load happened here, a session happened there, an event happened there, a conversion or whatever happened here, and you could string it all together into a custom funnel for your clients.
I'm excited about the unified user journey, the machine learning, but actually I am also, and maybe most excited about it being future proof. And here's why. The old Google Analytics version, Universal Analytics, was collecting data in a way that it's actually been outlawed in some countries, specifically in Europe. And because it doesn't have the right privacy requirements needed for the World Wide Web and how government institutions are evolving their regulations on us, I love that this is future proof and operates in a way that an actual business can use it without liabilities. So a lot to be excited about when it comes to GA4. Now let's talk about the evolution of universal analytics. So you will have a more accurate picture of channel performance in a world where data is increasingly scarce when we look at GA4 versus universal analytics. So durable tracking, conversion modeling, web and app, data-driven attribution, and view-through data. These are new things that are coming to GA4. Mezar, when you think about the difference between GA4 and Universal Analytics on this particular slide, what goes through your head? What are you excited about?
There's a lot of differences between the two. Durable tracking with the enhanced conversions. So any paid media manager is going to know enhanced conversions just because, you know, Google's pretty much telling all the users set up enhanced conversions now. And that's kind of like an offline conversion type of thing where you're sending in first party data to the platform. And then there's conversion modeling, which is kind of like the same category of like, you know, machine learning and things like that. Web and app, this is actually something in GA4 used to be called web and app when it first came out and it was in beta, but now it's called GA4. It's basically, you know, unifying your app data, mobile app data with your online website user behavior data. And then a whole host of other data, really. It's web and app and everything else. It could be web app and CRM, web app and, you know, anything else. And then the data-driven attribution is going to be really helpful. And GA4 does it a lot better than Universal Analytics did. So it's like an upgrade to everything, really.
I can tell you what I'm excited about the most, just as a marketer and just as with the experience of my own team. One of the biggest requests we get is help with attribution modeling. Attribution modeling seems to be such a sticky point and such a difficult thing to do. It was always such a difficult thing to do in the past. And anything that makes that more comprehensive and improves our ability to create those attribution models is always going to be a win.
And one of the things I love is in Universal Analytics, we are so dependent on last click as the attribution model. Now, we would sometimes do linear or we would do weighted, and we would play with that modeling and also look at things like multi-channel funnels and assisted conversions. But with Universal Analytics, looking at data-driven attribution and view-through data in one area is very exciting. And we're going to be talking more about that in a moment. So now let's get into some of the exciting new features. So first, when we're thinking about future-proof analytics data collection, Mezar and I are going to share a couple thoughts on that. But first, consented. Adapt to privacy demands and control how data is collected and used based off a user's consent. First-party data. You get to enable to collect and use first-party data to understand and engage your users. And then modeled. Enhanced first-party data to fill gaps from cookie loss and measurement restrictions. So the first thing we're looking at here is future-proof analytics and data collection. And what I love about this is it just gives you a much clearer view on the data that you have. And it makes it so that you have to spend more time modeling it, using it. And frankly, this is how we've done marketing at Ignite for quite a long time. Mezar, talk to us a little bit about your thoughts on this.
I mean, as we said before, Google Analytics 4 definitely helps with being more compliant with privacy laws that are coming out. And I mean, depending on the cultural shift, we may shift even closer into user privacy laws, and GA4 will help businesses navigate that and manage that. So that's definitely something that Universal Analytics did not do. First party data, we've talked about how first party data is definitely the way to go. GA4 makes that easier as ever to, you know, put all your first party data into one place, since you could feed in offline data into GA4 a lot easier. There's definitely a lot in GA4, a lot of opportunity in GA4. I think it's really exciting, actually.
An important thing to note here is that Google Analytics is allowing you to customize those privacy controls based on country. So In the past, you couldn't do that. Now, when you're collecting this first-party data, you're actually going to be better able to comply with the local laws specific to each country.
Wylie, talk to us a little bit. What are we looking at here exactly?
The machine learning that's baked into GA 4.0, what you can actually do is just ask questions. Similar to the way that you would ask Google Voice a question, you can type a question into Google Analytics 4.0 into the search bar, and it surfaces answers based on machine learning intelligence.
So example questions would be top day of the week for revenue, top sold product, country with top transactions, average revenue by browser, top languages in the US. What I love about this is the ability to ask a question and not needing to know how to navigate to every portion to find specific information in Google Analytics, which a lot of people don't know how to do. Many of us know how to do it because we spend our entire lives on the internet inside of Google Analytics, but also many other people don't. And even for us, sometimes it's hard to find that specific item. So this is another very compelling reason to move towards GA4.
Yeah, for sure. I think this is something that marketers should definitely take a look at, because I mean, before we had to, like you said, John, we had to create custom reports and try to hunt down the dimensions and the data points that we needed, and put them in the right place for the report. But you know, the big data machine learning, we just type a question as if we're Googling something. You know, what's my average revenue by browser? Like just typing a question in rather than creating an entire custom report that you would have to do in UA. I mean, this is way better.
Another thing that's really exciting about GA4, and I mean, just in general in digital marketing right now, is YouTube. YouTube has exploded. It's one of the primary places people are advertising. It's got the power of Google Ads targeting and data, along with video capabilities. And now we have the first ever integration with YouTube. So you'll be able to link your property to Google Ads and activate Google signals. On the YouTube side, a user watches at least 10 seconds of a skippable in-stream ad on YouTube, and that will allow you to trigger some conversion events in some cases, and there's different ways to model this as well. From a purchase perspective, a user converts on your website within the first 3 days of viewing a YouTube video, and you'll be able to track that. So we're seeing view-through conversions really being attributed in GA4 in a way that Facebook was looking to do that. And earlier in the presentation, we saw view-through conversions and data-driven conversions. So we have a nice marriage between the two, helping us have one unified area for reporting. On the reporting perspective, YouTube web engaged view conversions, EVCs, events are available in your analytics report.
Yeah, the integrations in GA4 is they're definitely a lot better. Activating like the Google signals, you know, Google has, I don't know how many data points on every single user. It's like 40, 50 data points on every user. So you could better integrate GA4 with Google signals and Search Console, things like that. YouTube, I mean, historically, just to set up an integration with a YouTube video, you would have to put, you know, Universal Analytics on the page. You'd have to put GTM on the page. You'd have to activate GTM variables that would listen to that YouTube video, and then you would get maybe video starts and then percentage watched. But with this direct integration, I mean, you're going to get a lot more data, first of all, and it's just going to be pretty much set up out of the box. So it's going to be a lot better.
I think the important thing to note here, aside from the technical details, is that this is going to give you greater transparency into the campaigns that you're running on YouTube, which is going to enable you as a business owner, operator, as a marketer to basically make more informed strategic decisions about whether or not to allocate more budget to the channel, whether or not to even run ads on the channel. And that really is the key here.
Now let's talk a little bit about predictive audiences. So there's simple ways to use these: increase bids on audiences with high purchase probabilities, increase bids on high revenue audiences, offer last minute offers to users who are likely to churn, offer micro yes offers to users less likely to purchase. Predictive audiences are so exciting. And for me, there's this big integration here with Performance Max. There's this big integration here with the way that the ad algorithms have been working. And to see this coming into the data platform is incredibly exciting. So really, when we're able to bring in our first party data, we're able to use that from an ad perspective. We're able to allow the algorithms to expand beyond that first party data and then create predictive audiences that are similar to that first party data. Now we have better cold audiences than we ever had before that have the same qualities as our first party data. And that to me is really, really exciting.
These predictive audiences are going to be great. I mean, purchase probability, churn probability, those are going to be really helpful for businesses. I think it's important for everyone to realize, and remember that, with machine learning, it will get more accurate the more data you feed it. And by more data, this doesn't just mean 10 users or 10 purchases. This means, hundreds. And the more accurate it gets, the more accurate their audiences will get. And then your advertising will get better over time. So everything improves over time. The advertising performance is better, your data is better, the machine learning gets better. And it's just an improving cycle over time.
This is going to make it a lot easier to target the top of the funnel. This is going to make it a lot easier to win back clients. I think this is going to enhance remarketing and enhance marketing funnels tremendously.
Now, one of the things people are most excited about is cross-device customer journey transparency. This has been such a pain point for so many different marketers for so long. How do we reconcile consumers in so many different places? And there's been a lot of third parties who have created tracking solutions and benefited quite a bit and grown large companies by doing this, such as Branch, Triple Whale, Hyros. We even have a solution in some ways that does this called Certainty Tech. However, Certainty Tech is more of a media mix modeling, benchmarking, and forecasting software. And I'm happy to report will be integrated with Google Analytics 4. So we're incredibly excited about that. That being said, creating a single user journey for all the data associated with one user ID, integrating across all reporting, analysis, and insights, improving the accuracy of reporting and utilization from first-party IDs are all claims that Google Analytics 4 is saying that they'll be able to do. So Mezar, when you think about this, where does this fit into the marketing mix as we move forward?
This will definitely fit into any campaign where you're targeting any audience. First of all, you'll have a unified persona across these devices, a unified persona across all these data sets. But I think it's important to realize that, user ID. So some of this stuff like user ID, for example, it needs to be set up. GA4 does open the capability to use a unique user ID, but you would have to feed GA4 with the user ID. So you would have to set that up. But the Google Signals, I mean, that's built in. That's something for sure you should turn on, and that's a simple click. Yeah, I think this is pretty huge with the audience targeting, as well as making the machine learning better for the predictive audiences as well. In this case, it's just the more data, the better, really.
And how does this influence cross-domain tracking?
That's a little tricky with cross-domain tracking. I think, any business that has multiple domains should definitely set up cross-domain tracking. GA4 makes it easier, whereas with, Universal Analytics, you kind of had to string together this hacky solution. And it wasn't really reliable. It would break easily. With GA4, it's a lot easier to roll up multiple domains into one cross-domain solution or data source. So yeah, for sure, cross domains will be easier. And if you're a business that runs cross domains, then yeah, definitely set it up.
I think this is super important for businesses who have folks who visit their site both on mobile and on desktop. A lot of folks, I mean, I do this personally. I'll browse on my mobile phone. And then when I get home, I'll log in on my desktop and actually make the purchase on my desktop. So in situations like that, a lot of consumer behavior before that was kind of nebulous is going to get cleared up.
Now we're talking about setting up GA4. We're sold on it. We know all the benefits, and also, it's mandatory. So let's talk about setting it up. How do we really kind of get started? And so first, but why start now? Like, why start ahead of schedule? Well, data and functionality could be lost every week that implementation is delayed. Mezar, talk to us more about why set it up now.
Universal Analytics, GA3, is going to be officially retired next year. Some people might be thinking, well, I'll wait till next year to roll over to GA4. The problem with that is that you can't get historical data. GA4 will start collecting data the day that you set it up. So if you want to make the changeover next year, you should at least have a year's worth of data so you can have that seasonality in your business in GA4. Otherwise, you're rolling out a new software that has like no data in it whatsoever.
And you can't get the predictive analysis because you don't have enough data for the machine learning. Nothing really works until the system gets going for a while, right?
That's right.
So you'll have reduced performance in 2023 for the GA4 installation and all the bells and whistles it has if you don't get going now. You could be in a position where the cookies are hurting you more and you haven't taken advantage of the technology solutions that can support the future of where you need to go without cookies. And you need those insights and trending data over time. So set it up now.
Google actually doesn't have a choice here because they have to comply with regulation. So that data is going to go away. And it's likely that they're even going to destroy it, just completely annihilate all of that data so that it can basically be gone. Basically that means that your universal analytics data is not going to be around forever. One thing that you might want to start looking into is backlogging all of that data into your BigQuery instance. Google Analytics 4 comes with a free BigQuery instance, and there are ways to upload all of your universal analytics data into BigQuery so that your data isn't lost. But Google themselves, in order to comply with regulation, they're probably going to destroy all that data.
Action item: download your data, set up the new installation as quickly as possible.
Just to add to what you said about the machine learning getting better with the data, with the years worth of data, I kind of tell clients, business owners, to think about it this way. If you wait a year from now and your competitors set up GA4 now, then a year from now, your competitors' machine learning will have a year's worth of data and it'll be much better than your algorithm. And it will stay that way forever. So even if 2 years from now you have a year's worth of data, they have 2 years worth of data. So their algorithm will always be more accurate than yours.
Listeners, that is a true statement when you think about it. And I want to thank Mezar for getting that out there. Let's talk a little bit about dual setup and data collection, because really there's no reason you can't have dual setup. So if you have dual setup, this is an implementation process where a Google Analytics 4 property is deployed on the web alongside Universal Analytics, right? And upon completing this process, a website's measurement data is set to both of the different properties. So consumers should continue using your Universal Analytics until it's not there, but your GA4 is collecting data. So this is really the right way to go.
So Google actually recommends keeping your Google Analytics 3 and setting up GA4 in tandem so that you can collect data in both properties. There's no conflict there. You don't have anything to worry about. And in fact, it's the better way to go because you'll be collecting for the next year, your last year in GA3 and then your first year in GA4, and you could kind of like compare the two to reconcile the data to see whether the tracking is set up correctly in both. So dual setup is definitely the way to go. That's recommended by Google, and that's kind of what we do for our clients as well.
Create a Google Analytics 4 property, create data streams, activate enhanced measurement, enable data collection. And if you want, you can do an advanced measurement as well, such as implement e-commerce measurement, add recommended events, custom parameters, link to Google Ads, and enable conversion events.
Depending on your CMS or your e-commerce solution, not every CMS and e-commerce solution has implemented the capability to do the dual setup just yet. A lot of them, they still only have one tag or the other.
Now we're talking about the right way to set up Google Analytics 4, GA4, and this is our Ignite Visibility GA4 data and tracking launch plan. So when we think about the level of service that the organization needs and kind of our phase 1 pre-setup, Mezar, how do people need to approach this?
Well, there's a pre-setup. There's definitely some strategic thinking involved before you just start implementing code on the website. A lot of it really just deals with notating what your conversion and navigation paths are, what your KPIs are that you're measuring on the site. There's a contact form, newsletter subscription, are there purchases on the website? These are things that you got to be mindful of, and those are the things you're going to be setting up later. But this is just kind of the pre-setup strategy and the thinking on how it goes. We do this when we first set up a GA4 instance for a client.
And it's so critical to set it up this way because it allows you to mind map the strategy of the business to the analytics tracking so that you can get the data that's relevant for you to be successful for where you want to go. So having a data plan is critical. Now, what goes into the foundation?
Well, the foundational setup is just what every business has to go through. This isn't getting into the customized stuff like custom events or what conversion actions that is unique to your business. This is just keeping universal analytics on there, something we talked about before, the dual tracking, and then just going through the best practices of integrating Search Console, integrating Google Ads, making sure those data sets are talking to each other, and just making sure you have a reliable foundation.
The foundation is important, keeping universal analytics enabled, integrating where needed, such as Search Console, having the remarketing audiences in Google Analytics, the time zones, the currency settings, these things that are important to get data that actually makes sense to the individual business. And the foundation doesn't stop. There's a lot to think about here. What other things are important?
We define internal traffic rules. We exclude internal traffic. We set up scroll tracking. There's definitely a lot that goes into the foundational setup, particularly with GA4. GA3 was a little easier. It's just a couple of clicks. GA4 is different because when you set up GA4, it's not just copying and pasting a code snippet. You're actually setting up a data stream, and that is basically plugged into your website. So there's a little more setup with the foundational stuff, but you'll be glad you did with all the features that come along with it.
And especially glad that you do things like number 18, where you verify your data retention time period actually matches your privacy policy and is legal. These are the connections that are happening between government policy, between legal regulations, and the internet now that people are not seeing. And that's why these specific checklists are so important, especially for mid to large organizations that do business online. And it doesn't really stop there. There's intermediate things that people need to be thinking about as well.
These are the things unique to your business. So custom events, conversion goals. What are your goals? Creating custom insights, custom definitions, things that are unique to your industry, your business, custom audiences. So this is the stuff this is where we get into customized territory.
Customize. When you get a handle on the data and you can use this in a specific way for your business, it becomes so much more powerful. And the intermediate steps are fairly lengthy. And I just want everybody to take a moment and take a step back. Think about all the specifics that go into setting this up the right way, such as cross-domain tracking. What other intermediate items are important here?
I think cross-domain tracking is probably the biggest one, especially for companies that have multiple domains. The rest of it, like Google Signals, is really important. Session timeout settings is also pretty important, depending on how you want to measure your session. Do you want 30 minutes to be a timeout setting for your session before a new session starts? So this is just kind of like customizing GA4 to fit your needs, your business's needs.
And removing spam referrals, removing bot traffic. I was in a client's analytics account the other day, a newer client, and saw that they had maybe 10% of their traffic was completely fake. I'm so happy to be able to work with them to get them a lens into the amount of traffic that is actually real. And that's why it's important to set up GA4 this way so that the machine learning can operate off of true traffic. Now, we also have advanced settings, and these are for the people who really want to win online. Mezar, talk to us about a couple of these.
Sure. This is the stuff that, Wylie was talking about, all the machine learning, predictive metrics, predictive audiences. If you want to predict predict an audience that's likely to churn, predict an audience that is likely to buy, even if you've never reached them. This is really the advanced stuff that'll take the business to the next level.
Thank you, everybody, so much for spending time with us today. We hope that you enjoyed our webinar on Google Analytics 4. Mezar, final thoughts on Google Analytics 4 today?
I'd say move now. Your competitors are rolling over, and you don't want their machine learning algorithm to be better than yours.
Wylie, final thoughts on Google Analytics 4?
100% agree with Mezar. Just get it done as soon as possible. Build that competitive strength, build that competitive gap, and make sure your competitors don't create one.
Awesome. Great job, guys. I hope you enjoyed our presentation today on Google Analytics 4. We truly believe that first-party data and data measurement and predictive analytics is the future of digital marketing. I always say whoever can convert traffic for less and has the best strategy is going to win in the future of business. And I truly believe that's more true now than it's ever been before. If you would like any help with your Google Analytics 4, please reach out. No obligation there, obviously. And even if you don't work with us, we hope that this video will be helpful to you so that you can have the best installation. We really want to see everybody win online. I would ask, give us a like, give us a comment for putting this video together. We always appreciate it. It's always so fun to see the comments come in online. And we will see you soon. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a great day.